To Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. From inside the Cafe Kubal studios, you're also listening and watching on Facebook in two places, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So we appreciate you being here, hanging out inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal with locations all throughout central and upstate New York for your pleasure of coffee, chai, tea in general, as well as all of their fantastic treats, including their chocolate chip banana bread, their awesome sandwiches, my favorite being the upstate, and so much more. Cafe Kubal there for you all throughout the day to get your fix when it comes to the drinks that you love, iced or hot, as well as all of those awesome treats that they have and their meals that they can have for you to go, as well as to dine in at any one of their cafes on 3501 James Street, as well as on 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and of course on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, and that's their drive-through location. You'll also find them on their double-decker location at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So however you connect with Cafe Kubal, thank you so much for supporting local and being there for the companies that are there for you and that employ all of us here in our community. So it's really important to know that. So many of us obviously owe it to places like Cafe Kubal for having a job and having an opportunity to get out there. So thank you to Cafe Kubal for not only providing great food and drinks, but also providing places of business for us to go to. With that being said, today's wake-up call is jam-packed full of Syracuse. We have three awesome guests coming on in connection to Syracuse University. We have the exclusive first interview inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We have the exclusive first interview with Brady Denaburg, who you know has been on the show a few weeks ago. Brady is an athlete. He plays quarterback and he also plays kicker, and he's a dual threat quarterback, so he can run, throw, and kick the ball. And he is joining us from Merritt Island. We are going to be his first interview since getting his offer from Syracuse. So this is the exclusive first interview on the heels of his offer from Syracuse and ahead of him coming to visit Syracuse this coming weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So the exclusive first interview, first time anybody's going to hear from Brady Denaburg in an interview since getting offered from Syracuse, is going to be coming up in just a moment. And then from there, we'll go to Syracuse Orange alum from 87 to 1990, and that is Mr. Kevin Greene. We were hoping to have him on the show yesterday, and with a scheduling conflict, we now got him on the show today, so we're ecstatic to be able to do that. He joins us here around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, right after Brady's conversation. Played fullback, running back, and on special teams at Syracuse. And then you will also hear from Nate Trout in hour number 2 at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, the mentor of Brady Denaburg down at Merritt Island and a former Syracuse kicker himself. So awesome connection that Nate Trout has as someone who comes from the state of Florida like Brady, played at Syracuse, and obviously Brady's gotten an offer from Syracuse, and he's directly connected to Brady because he is his mentor. So that's really cool as well. He'll be with us at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time live, and then we'll jump into the ingredients to success, which we do every single Tuesday to round out the show. So plenty of great stuff coming up on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Right after this fast break, we're going to jump into the fast break and come back with you to hear from Brady Denaburg in the exclusive first interview right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora since receiving his offer from Syracuse. The first time he's spoken about it is coming up next.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cubal needs. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop. mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on YouTube and Facebook, both.com/wakeupcalldt, and shared on facebook.com/live-now-dt. So many different ways to pay attention to the show Monday through Friday, live from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Fresh off of his offer from Syracuse, Brady Denaburg gave me the opportunity to be his first conversation, his first interview here. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about the hopes of a Syracuse offer. He had gotten one from Air Force, a potential opportunity to walk on with the Florida Gators. And we spoke on Syracuse. Coach Ligg, the new special teams coordinator, had come down to see him. And since then, within these last few weeks, a little, I guess, an extra Christmas gift was left under the tree for Brady Denaburg as he got an offer from Syracuse. So now, with the exclusive first conversation since that offer, Brady's joining us on the show. Brady, how are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man, and I got to thank you for letting me be the first interview after the offer. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for holding me here. This is fun.
Yeah, and it's so awesome to have a conversation about something that you're like hoping for and dreaming for, and then a few weeks later to actually talk about that. Bring me into the surreal of, we were here with Nate Trout, your mentor and former Syracuse kicker, and the three of us did a show together, and we talked about how a Syracuse offer would be cool, and here we are a few weeks later, and it's a reality.
Yeah, you picture it, and you hope it's going to happen, and until it really does happen, you don't really believe it, but it's definitely really cool that it's happened.
So bring me into how it all came about. What happened to bring about this offer? I want to live through you when you found out that you got it.
So I really think ever since we talked last, it's kind of been a thing for Coach Ligg. He was like, I'm going to get you an offer. I want it. I want you to come up and see the school, and I want to get the offer. And we were like, well, because a bunch of other schools say they want you, but they don't end up giving you the offer, so it's tough. But as soon as he would come down, he's been coming down in the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks straight, and he just one day they said they had an opening, and he ended up offering me. It was really cool.
So bring me into the day he came down, just what that was like, since he had come down so much, just what that moment was like when he had the offer.
Well, actually, he ended up calling me 2 days before he was actually able to come down. But just hearing that on the phone and just being able to talk about it a few weeks ago, and then it actually happening was just really cool.
So I guess, Coach Ligg was listening to Wake Up Call. I guess that's what happened.
Yeah.
So I mean, for you to hear him say, he's come down for the last 3 weeks and he's been in touch with you, and within the period where he can reach out to you, he's been doing that. What has that meant to you that he's been consistent, that he's been calling you, texting you, coming down and see you?
It just means that I'm his guy is what it looks like. And he wants me. He doesn't want anybody else. He wants to have that relationship, and he wants to show that he can talk to me and form that bond between me and him as coach to player, and for it to go, because he's not, the way he's kind of talking to me about it, he doesn't want to coach me just to tell me exactly what to do. He wants me to be able to tell him how I feel, and just to have the talks that we can have, just being him being coach, me being the player, just being able to be friends too is huge to him and to me too. And it's just really nice that he wants that. So,
how quickly did you get in touch with Nate Trout after you officially got the offer?
I think Nate already knew, but I called him right after that.
And what was that? What was the conversation like?
I could tell he knew, but he wanted me to tell him.
Yeah.
He was just so happy because, I mean, he went there, so he was psyched out about it.
And, here with Brady Denaburg, once again from Merritt Island, you have the opportunity, because you're the incoming class of 2022, within these last couple of weeks, you were hoping some offers, some other opportunities would come through. Not that you didn't appreciate, obviously, what Florida was talking to you about in Air Force, offering you the full ride, but to kind of just see what could be of these few weeks between now and National Signing Day Part 2, which is February 2nd of 2022. What does it mean to you to have this happen right before? Because, I mean, here we are talking, and in a little over a week, that's going to be the day you sign.
Well, Coach Nate said it. He said it about 3 weeks ago, and he was like, you need to get your mind ready for them to offer, because you need to know what you want to do. You need to weigh these two options or three, and then possibly one more. Not sure yet, but you need to prepare yourself now, because once you get it, you're not gonna have that much time. And it's kind of scary because it's so quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just so fast. Everything after they offered, it's gonna be a week or so, and I'm gonna be signing day.
So, where do you stand with everything right now? How do you feel?
It's every day I'll sway from one to the other, and I'll want to go to Florida because it's so close to home, or I'll want to go to Syracuse because I'm actually getting an offer there, or I'll want to go to the Air Force because the rest of my life I could be set. But I honestly don't know. I want to say to Syracuse, but there's things in the back of my mind that really are intriguing to the other schools, and each school has their ups and downs, and it's just which school has the most ups and the least downs. So,
what are the ups of each school?
I would say that Florida is close to home. The down would be that there's a kicker already on scholarship, which I probably have. I'm not scared to compete with people, so that's not so super down. It's just they already have a guy, so they're just going to give him the first rite of passage, I guess. And then Air Force, there's just unknowns of what the school will be like, but there's also the up of you're still going to a big school, you're still going, and I really love it out there out west. It's really cool. It's the first time I've ever been out there. But the other down would be just after. I mean, you have a job guaranteed after, but you don't know exactly what it is.
Right.
And the up with Syracuse is it's the coaching. I actually love it up there. I've went up there about 3 times for baseball, for my brother's baseball and my baseball, and just for visiting. It's really cool in New York, and I think obviously another up is you're playing big time football. You get looks. Coach Lig can get me to the NFL, as these other places can too. But I don't know. Yeah.
Is there a down? You didn't say a down for Syracuse.
Well, I don't know. The only down would be it's far away. I mean, just like just like Air Force. They're both just far away from home. But also people have told me that whether you're staying 10 minutes or 20 minutes away from home or 40 minutes away from home or like 16 hours away from home, you're not home anymore from college. You're busy, you're doing things.
Yeah.
So it's not really that different. It's just a different place. You'll be able to call your parents still. You'll be able to talk to them. But I'm kind of the last one at my house, and it's just me and my family, me and my parents right now. So it's a little sad, kind of.
So how are the parents dealing with this? What are their thoughts?
Oh, I mean, they will not tell me what I should do because that's selfish of them. Because they obviously want me to stay close, but they also will be at every game. It doesn't matter where I go. And my sister plays at UCLA beach volleyball, and she moved all the way across the country. So it's like they don't care. They'll be at, and my mom makes all the games, so they'll be at all the games. And yeah, that's what they think.
That coming from Brady Denaburg here from Merritt Island in the exclusive first conversation since receiving his official offer from the Syracuse Orange weeks after we had the conversation about the potential of a Syracuse offer with him and Nate Trout, longtime Syracuse kicker and a native of Florida himself. What has Nate said to you about this? I know you said that, he said, hey, be prepared for the offer to come, kind of know what you want to do because you're going to have a short window. So we've talked about that a little bit. What else did Nate tell you about Syracuse, about his experience? Obviously, it was a different coaching staff. It was a different time. It was the 90s. So what has he told you to maybe help you?
He's definitely reassured me. Well, I'm going to go see this weekend. But he's definitely reassured me that the school is it's a really great school, and the facilities are really nice, and all the upgrades they've done are really nice. And he also told me about how what it's like playing in the Carrier Dome, and it's super nice being indoor, and it's really loud.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of the ups. Also is being inside. I mean, kicking without at least 5 games without any wind or rain or snow.
Yeah, half the season where you have a controlled environment.
Yeah,
which is beautiful for a kicker.
Yeah, it is.
So also gives you no excuse, right?
Yeah. that also kind of can't be like the wind took it or something.
Yeah, a bunch of people in the dome just blew one way. I mean, maybe that would help, but. That coming from Brady Denaburg here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Brady, you're going up to visit Syracuse. You said you've been up before a few times for baseball and whatnot to visit, but this is an actual official visit. What are you hoping to get out of this visit? What are you looking for?
I think really I'm looking for just to meet the people there, to see what it's going to be like, to meet the coaches. Because I really haven't met anybody else other than Coach Legg yet. And, just hopefully getting along and being able to create a bond with those kids that I could be playing with would be really nice. And just, I'm sure everything else is going to be outstanding. So
is there a chance that this weekend, if you really like it, you could just say, hey, this is where I'm going?
For sure, probably. I mean, it's only 2 days after that, so I'll probably have my mind made up after I see the place and see the people. My parents said it would be a lot easier to make the decision after you see everywhere that is giving you an opportunity, so it would be nice.
And so Syracuse last on the list that you've gotten to see from Air Force and from Florida, coming up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so having the opportunity to really get a feel for campus. You're coming up in the winter, which means that you're gonna get to experience maybe snow, maybe a little bit of what cold feels like. Like you said, you're going to be indoors, so it doesn't matter. And obviously the Ensley Center is a great facility to practice inside. But does it bother you at all that if you were to come to Syracuse, you at least have to walk to class and be a little bit chilly? May not have to be chilly in the game, though.
I've always lived in Florida, so I really think it would be nice to get somewhere else and actually see the seasons. But going out west the last weekend was actually the best thing, or 2 weekends ago, was actually probably the best thing for me. My mom really wanted to get me out there just to see the different, because it was the last time I've seen snow in 5 years. We used to go every year snowboarding up in West Virginia. But I think going to Syracuse and seeing what it'll be like there in the winter, it's kind of like I need to see the rest of the world. I don't need to just stay in Florida my whole life.
And obviously, Syracuse looking at you on special teams, but we know that you could be a dual threat quarterback. You did a very unique thing, and I spoke about it on the show to start off this week, that on one drive alone, you had a couple runs, you had a pass to set up your field goal, to force an overtime, to get you guys into the championship game for the state championship this year. Not many people can say that they ran the ball and threw the ball to set up their own field goal. So, albeit the fact that Syracuse is looking at you as a kicker, what does it mean to Syracuse or to anybody that that would be to get you, knowing that and we've talked about this before, trick play wise, technically, in my opinion, you're an athlete. And if you come in as a kicker, I'd love to have a kicker, because there's probably 3 in the country at a time that can throw the ball and run the ball and have had experience doing it, I think is more important.
Yeah. I mean, being able to go in there knowing that I can handle the ball, they wouldn't be as they wouldn't be as not wanting to give me the ball to maybe do a trick play or something like that. It would definitely be something that we have talked about already. Yeah. And he just really finds it cool that I'm an athlete that's a kicker. So that's how he kind of looks at me, not really a kicker that plays other things. I'm an athlete that kicks, and who knows what will happen if I just practice kicking.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, I already have an acronym for you, and I'm going to copyright and TM it on Wake Up Call right now. But I have TPB, Trick Play Brady. I mean, that's what I want. And so if wherever you end up, I already got the hashtag TPB ready. I think it's a fair one.
That's awesome.
So Coach Lake, like you were just talking about, he knows that you're not just a kicker, you're an athlete who is a kicker. Bring me into the relationship with Coach Legg and just what you could say about his personality. We've spoken about how he has been devout in coming out to see you and supporting you, but what's his personality been like? Why do you trust him, and why do you like being around him?
Yeah, I mean, he's came down so probably 4 or 5 times since we talked last, and he just has those traits that you can easily talk to someone and you can trust them. I mean, trust is the biggest thing in 2 people, like being able to trust that I'm not going to lie to him and tell him that my leg's hurting me or something, or that I don't think I can make it from here because the wind's coming in, so I need to tell him those things, and he needs to be honest to me and tell me, like, are you sure? Can you do that? Or if we didn't have that relationship, he would not feel comfortable saying certain things, if you know what I'm saying.
Why do you feel like your relationship with him has been kind of so easy to create?
Definitely just because the first time he came down, he was just so just relaxed. He was able to talk to, I don't really know. Maybe it's just that he's came down so much that it's just like we're buddies now.
Bob Ligashevsky, a.k.a. Coach Legg, that we've been talking about, Syracuse went all last season without a special teams coordinator. They bring him in, and he almost immediately comes down and sees you. What does that mean to you that you were one of the first stops that he made?
It means a lot, I mean, he's been recruiting my class just at a different school for the past year. So he knows all the kids in the country.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that when he got to Syracuse, he came straight down because they needed a kicker. Maybe at the other, I don't know if at the other school they needed one, but he knew what he wanted, I think, and he came down to pursue it.
Why? What has he said to you about why he likes you specifically?
He said to me that he said I'm an athlete that just kicks, but he said he likes how I compete, I guess is what you can say. He's seen me at practice, he's seen me in games, and he also likes how I carry myself and how I can this past year, how I led my team, and he likes that. He likes having, I don't know, I guess a leader, not just a kicker, as just being a kicker.
And what do you think that does for you, Brady? You know, the fact that you've been a quarterback, which by nature you're a leader, you're supposed to be vocal, you're supposed to set an example. To come on a team as a kicker, some people treat kickers and punters and long snappers, they put them off to the side of the rest of the team. You know what it's like to be at the center of the locker room and to be a voice in the locker room. You're coming off of a state championship run where you made it all the way to the end in Florida, which is not easy to do, especially in the state of Florida. So what can you say about how, you know, being a kicker who's also been the leader of a locker room could pay off huge for wherever you go?
Yeah, it definitely helps me. And it would probably, I would like to say that I'm pretty humble already as being a leader and what has happened this past year, but also the quarterback mindset of pressure you have on you, that going into just kicking, it's like, is a 4th and 11 longer, or is a 4th and 11 more pressure, or is a 42-yard to win the game more pressure? And they're both on the last drive. Like it's kind of like it's already set me up to be in those positions that's not as nerve-wracking, and you can just focus on yourself and not be too worried about other things going on, and you know what it's like already.
Does anything rattle you? Speaking here with Brady Denaburg, 2022 incoming freshman for college football, a kicker who is an athlete and has played quarterback, dual threat quarterback, and being looked at Syracuse as a kicker, as well as being looked at Air Force, and a potential walk-on opportunity with the Florida Gators as well, offers from Air Force and Syracuse as we speak here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call. How calm are you? Does anything rattle you being a quarterback and a kicker? Again, you know, being the guy that's got to lead the team down the field and then being the guy that's got to finish it. 99.9% of the time, those are two different people. You've been both of them. So does anything really rattle you anymore?
I mean, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't nervous, but I also think that at the same time of me being nervous, it kind of just the competition just makes me want to do better. I don't know. It's just something that I've always had, that I just can do better when I have crunch time, I guess you can say. And probably the only nerve-wracking thing is when I'm not on the field or have to watch something else going on that I don't have control over. But during my thing, it's kind of, I'll get in my zone and I kind of don't get nervous. I'll just get like competitive, I guess you can say.
Before I let you go, Brady, I want to remind people that if you don't think a kicker is a real part of the football team, or that special teams is below offense and defense, I'd love to remind everybody that's watching and listening that there were 4 games in the NFL divisional round of the playoffs this past weekend, and each of those games needed a kicker at the end of regulation. Cincinnati needed Evan McPherson to win the game 19-16. San Francisco needed Robbie Gould to win the game 13-10. After Tampa came surging back with Tom Brady, the Rams needed Matt Gay. And without Harrison Butker, Kansas City doesn't get into overtime. What does it mean to you as a kicker, Brady, that all 4 NFL playoff games of teams trying to get to the Super Bowl, every single one of them relied on the kicker at the end of the game?
You know, honestly, because I've been a quarterback and a kicker, I know how important they are. And to me, myself, I've already known. But these other people that think that they're not as important, or especially at my level and levels younger than me, it really isn't that big of a deal. But in the college and pro, I think a lot more people value them a lot higher. And now, as you can see, it's huge. It's not, you need someone that you can count on, and they're not just and that's what I haven't liked being called a kicker my whole life, because it's just one of those things that I always call myself a quarterback. But now going into the next step, I think I would be fine with doing that, because people value it. It's not like you're just a kicker, go off to the side. Your teammates want you to be good.
In the history of Syracuse, Gary Anderson, who spent a ton of years in the NFL, Nate Trout, all-time leading scorer up to this season before Andre Schmidt finally took the new record in that sense. And Nate had an opportunity to play in the Arena League after the fact. Olindo Mare coming from Syracuse. There's a bunch of kickers that have found their way through Syracuse and been successful. Cole Murphy's had opportunities to go out and kick in the NFL. What does it mean to you about the history? You have a close relationship with Nate, but Nate isn't the only kicker that's made some hay in Syracuse history. And really, longevity-wise in the NFL, Gary Anderson was around for over a decade.
It's huge to me because that's ultimately what I want to do. Why go to college to play football if you don't really want to play in the NFL? But that's something that I've always dreamt about and something that I've always wanted to do. So it means a lot to me.
Brady Denaburg, there he is, coming up to Syracuse this weekend. Brady, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm not sorry to put you on the spot. You gave me the exclusive first interview after you got the Syracuse offer. Thank you. And when you come up to Syracuse, you're going to be in my neck of the woods. So is it safe to say that maybe we could try and maybe carve out a little bit of time to talk about your visit while you're up here?
For sure. I'd love to do that.
All right. Well, I will see you when you get up to Syracuse, and I'll look forward to spending some time with you. In the meantime, please stay safe, stay well. And, they always say if you want something, you got to speak it into existence. And you, Nate, and I talked about Syracuse. And here's that offer. So I'm hoping that wherever you choose, you're happy. I'm happy to see you coming up to Syracuse, New York to see what it's all about. And I look forward to the fact that in less than 2 weeks, you're going to be playing. And think about this. In less than 2 weeks, you will know for a fact that you're going to be a Division I kicker. That's got to be pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So thank you as always, Brady, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, here where sports meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here hanging out with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And for everybody, wherever you're listening, however you're listening, we thank you so much for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and truly appreciate your time that you spend here with us on the broadcast. So much love and much appreciation for that. With that being said, we're back here inside of these Cafe Kubal studios with our second guest of the day inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', and that is Mr. Kevin Greene. Kevin comes to us from 1987 to 1990, played for Syracuse, played running back, fullback, and played on special teams, so he can tell us about the importance of special teams and so much more, as I'm very excited to have him here on the broadcast. And it's been a minute since we had Kevin on the show, so I'm so happy to have him back.
I think the level of competition is definitely better here in Connecticut than it was in Kentucky.
Seeing a lot of people look to the South and kind of the Midwest area and whatnot, and they give more credit there than the North, and you're saying the opposite, that you feel more challenged up
on your show. I must be a regular, like I'm on the Carson show, the Johnny Carson show. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you do to promote Syracuse athletics, but more importantly, Syracuse football.
Hey, and I appreciate those kind words, and they mean a lot to me. Never fall on deaf ears, Kevin. And it is. It's important to me to, make sure that everybody has a voice. Syracuse football players, past, present, and future, and so it means a lot to me that, I set out to do this years ago and set out to make sure that I could talk to as many alumni as possible. But you guys are the ones that make it possible in saying yes and in coming on the show. So I want to say thank you to you for spending some time and seeing my vision and my mission and really just being a part of it. It means a lot to me.
You got it.
So Kevin Greene here with us this morning. Kevin, bring me into your time. 87 to 90, Syracuse was doing their thing back then. One of my best friends of all time, Mr. Rob Drummond, was on those teams there and on the undefeated team. And so we talk about this era, the Todd Philcox and the Michael Owens and the Don McPhersons and yourself and Rob Drummond and so on and so forth. When you look back on those days of Syracuse football, what are some things that come to mind, some words to describe what life was like as a Syracuse football player in the late 80s and early 90s?
Well, first, let me go back to the young man that you just had on there. You mentioned the relevancy of having a great kicker. I mean, if you look at the kickers we had during that time frame, Timmy Veslin, then we went to Kevin Greene, my namesake, and then we also had John Biscup. So, we had three reliable kickers my entire time there. That kickers play a major part of a role in football. They play a major part in the wins and losses. So we look forward to being able to get Brady up to the school, have them go through the campus, get to walk through the halls, get to experience what it's like to be an Orange. And so I wish them a lot of success and luck. So with this endeavors, going back to my freshman year, we came in. It was a really rough season. That was coming off the team and coming off the appearance at the Cherry Bowl, and then we came back and kind of had a year, our freshman year, a little setback. We didn't reach the goals that the team thought we were going to do, but then we came back with that '87 Sugar Bowl team, and I'm telling you, that was a team that had a lot of jubilation, a lot of joy. That season faced a lot of ups and downs. The miraculous win against West Virginia at the end of the season. I mean, we had such a great run there. We had such great, strong leaders on that team that it made that season a miraculous, successful, fun season. We had some bumps along the way. We had some scares along the way. But the resilience of that team and more importantly, the resilience of Coach Mack and all the coaches there that guided us through that season, that was just a great season. And then we were competitive every year after that. The SEC is a beast now. But we can brag that in those 4 years when we played SEC teams, we showed them how the boys from upstate New York play. I mean, we beat Georgia in the Peach Bowl. We beat LSU in the Hall of Fame Bowl, which I believe is now the Outback Bowl. But no, I think when teams came to play against Syracuse those 4 years, they came to realize that it wasn't just a school, a bunch of guys from upstate New York. It was a bunch of guys that were coming in every game, and we were going to play hard because we were coached hard.
Yeah, and that, like you said, we're going to play hard because we were coached hard. Coach Mack and the staff that he had, just really remarkable and incredible. Now, not only what Coach Mack did, but the tree that came off of that, the players that he brought in. Like you said, we're going to play hard because we were coached hard. Bring me into your experience, and to some people who don't know, maybe some of the guys on that staff besides Coach Mack, and to bring us deeper into the notion of playing hard because you were coached hard, because that's not something you always see, and it's not something you always hear anymore.
No, but if you go back and you look at his staff, off the top of my head, I'm trying to start. You know what? I'm going to start with Mike Wojcik. Mike Wojcik was our strength and conditioning coach. And if you ask anybody in the NFL over the last 20, 30 years, who is the guru of strength and conditioning, it is Mike Wojcik. I believe Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings, but I believe up until Brady won last year, Mike had the most Super Bowl wins out of any coach and player. He had a tremendous run with the Patriots, then he had an even more tremendous run. I'm saying a tremendous run with the Cowboys, and then he had a tremendous run with the Patriots. So I got to give Mike all the credit because he pushed us. He worked us hard. He was the one that made us come in and do the off-season lifts, the workouts, all of the running. So you started with Mike, but then you go to coach like Coach George DeLeon, who was the offensive coordinator. I mean, there wasn't a more strategic offensive guru or genius that I've ever seen in those years. You got Coach DeLeon, then you had Coach George O'Leary. Coach went on and had great success over at Georgia Tech. Then you had guys like Ivan Fears, who left to go with Coach Mack to the Patriots. He's been with the Patriots since I think Coach Mack coached them, 92? I believe Ivan has been with them the entire time. You look at the late coach, Clarence Brooks, our defensive line coach, just a great guy. Randy Etzel was on the team. Randy was my running back coach. Then he switched over to the secondary. Randy went on. So there's a bunch of names, and I'm going to miss a bunch of names, but you look at the coaching tree, and you look at all the coaching tree from all the coaches in the NFL and college. You look at that coaching tree right there. There's some pretty successful head football coaches that came out of there that coach underneath Coach Mack. So, it was just a lot of hard work. The leaders on that team really took it serious. We had our fun, but when it was time to get down to practice and it was time to play, we were all committed to doing that.
Yeah, and that's the incredible part of it, Kevin, is the fact that, you look back on that staff, and like you said, I mean, the names on this staff speak for themselves throughout history and what they've been able to do, what they've been able to accomplish, and the countless lives that they've affected as head coaches or being a part of tremendous staffs. I mean, there's something to say when you mention some of these guys like Ivan Fears and whatnot, that when they're on a team, that team is not only successful, they're consistently successful and consistently good, not occasionally great. And, we hear Dino Babers talk about that all the time. What are your thoughts as we step into year number 7 with Dino Babers? What are your thoughts on him as a coach and what he's done? We've seen 4-8 with Dino's. Dino's 10-3 season came with a lot of Scott Schaefer's recruits, and obviously Tim Lester's golden child in Eric Dungy. And then after that, we saw 5-7, 1-10, and 5-7. So, what are you taking away from Dino Babers? Do you believe when you watch this team that they're playing well because they're being coached well? I mean, how do you see it? You're a player, so you can see it from a special angle. So, what do you see?
Yeah, I see it from a different lens, from a different angle, but I still got to be very respectful of the program, the coaches, and the players. I will say that I am kind of shocked that when Dino came in, he came in as this touted offensive guru. He came from the tree, from the coach that coached at Baylor. His name is going blank right now. But he's supposed to be this big offensive guru and offensive genius. And I guess from my eyes, I just haven't seen that. Like, I saw it that one year with Eric, and it was spectacular because Eric was able to do a bunch of different things. He was creative. He was innovative. He could scramble. He could run. He was that mobile athlete quarterback. So he was able to keep some drives alive when they should have stalled. I just haven't seen that offense. And I guess that's what I was excited for. I was excited to see this offense flourish, take off, be dynamic with spectacular plays. And I guess from that standpoint, that's where I'm a little disappointed, because that just doesn't happen. But at the same time, you look at the players that have come through the school, that have played there, and their impact. I mean, 34, I love that kid. I absolutely love that kid. He needs to stay with 34. Don't worry about wearing 44, Sean. Create your own legacy. Do what you're going to do. That kid is fantastic. I am pissed off and angry when I see all of the publication that comes out where he's left off. He is probably, I'm not going to say he is probably, in my opinion, he's the best running back in college football, and he proved it last year. So to go back to your original question, Dan, I was expecting more offensive innovation, and I guess I'm not seeing that innovation. I think we're on our third or fourth offensive coordinator, so there is no true continuity there. We were always known for having great linebackers, great defense, great secondaries. We're getting some great recruits in there. And, these kids have got a lot of playing time last year or the year prior with COVID that you would have thought that they came back this year. They gelled pretty good in the secondary, so I expect a lot more of them as those guys get better. But I go back to offensively, Dan, and I guess that's where I struggle the most is I expected us to be a high-power, explosive offense, and I just haven't seen that.
Yeah, and the thing is, the offense has changed. Like you said, a different offensive coordinator's coming in, and just seeing how this team has tried to find its way and tried to create something. But, I think what we're seeing here, Kevin, as Kevin Greene is here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cuball studios. Kevin, I think what we're seeing is the fact of the Syracuse does not have an identity. And when you don't have an identity, they kind of look almost schizophrenic. They're 1 minute they're going to pass, they're going to run, they have a running quarterback, they have a quarterback that doesn't like to run, they have a guy that can throw it down the field, they have a guy that's not going to really throw it down the field. I mean, there's wide receivers are getting involved, and then wide receivers are not a part of the game at all. He refused to run the ball consistently for his first 5 seasons, and then in year number 6, he started running it like crazy with Tucker, and in year number 5, started to do it a little bit more. Syracuse was always ground and pound, frustrate you, condense the clock, wear you down. Like, yes, there was Donovan McNabb. Yes, there was Don McPherson. Yes, there was Marvin Graves. There were guys out there that can pass the ball, but there was always an attention to the run and a focus on the run and a dedication to the run that we didn't really see until the last couple seasons, and maybe arguably the last season and a half, I would say. So I think, Syracuse's offense is struggling from a lack of identity, and how can you have an identity when you're changing your coordinators like underpants?
Yeah, we ran that option offense for years, so teams knew they were going to be in a tough battle with games with us. But like you said, we had the wide receivers, the Rob Moores, the Rob Carpenters of the world, the DeVal Glovers of the world, the Tommy Canes of the world. Then we came to the tight ends, and we had Pat Kelly, and we had Pat Davis. So we had good tight ends right there. We had a fantastic offensive line with Gary, Frank, Turnell, Blake, Big Mike. I mean, we had a great offensive line. Yeah, we had great quarterbacks. But in order to run the ball, we had some great backs over those years. You got Robert Drummond, you had Howard Gate, you had Michael Owens, you had Darryl Johnson leading away. You had this little kid from Pennsylvania who occasionally got to play, which is me. I laugh and joke with myself about that, Dan. But what I'm saying is we had great backs, and we had a great line. We had great skill players. Nobody was afraid to block. Everybody was afraid that was expected to do what they did. So, yeah, we could pound and ground, or we could run that option where we had the speed from the backs. We can stretch you, and we were able to hit the corners, and we were able to get large breaks up there. So we had an offense that consistently got better every year with different designs, different flexes out of the options, different option run passes, different option runs, reverses. It was consistent because we had Coach DeLeon consistently all those 4 or 5 years that I was there. That staff hardly ever changed. It was that consistency that kept us grounded. So folks knew when we came to play, you had to expect the option, but you all also had to expect some power football, and then tied into that, we had wide receivers that could stretch the field. And to your point, this year, we went with a quarterback, and I understand why he made the change, but he went more for running quarterback that defenses could focus on stopping the run because they weren't as scared of us passing. And in order to have a true balanced offensive attack, you got to be able to run the ball and you got to be able to pass the ball. And if that means you need to make a change at quarterback to get someone that's more able to throw and to run, you need to do that. Right now, we're run first. Defenses can focus on that, and our passing game is suspect.
Yeah, and in seeing that, the question is, well, where are you going to go from here? And are you really going to dedicate yourself to running the ball and really having a quarterback who's going to run with Tucker, as we saw this year? We've seen in the last couple seasons plenty of wide receivers leave Syracuse. This past season, Russell Thompson Bishop, Taj Harris jumping out of Syracuse and moving forward. Luke Benson, the tight end, leaving as well. Cooper Lutz, who's played running back and receiver, he's gone. Sherrod Johnson is gone as well. So, and Landon Morris, who is supposed to be a tight end / wide receiver, really never got to see him. So there's a lot to be said about the fact that receivers have been running out of Syracuse, and that a lot of the quarterbacks behind Garrett Schrader, we've seen those quarterbacks change as well and leave Syracuse. So there's something to be said about, this kind of changing of the offense. And in this changing of the offense, that, I don't think it's any fluke that wide receivers are leaving Syracuse, because maybe that's not what they signed up for. And so then the question is, how do you attract a wide receiver if you're going to dedicate to not really an option, when it's really the option's going to be, is Garrett running or is Sean running? But if there's not going to be an option to pass, and teams are going to stack the box and they're going to try and beat Syracuse that way, receivers may get frustrated running routes if the ball's not going to come to them.
True. So you got the kid that's coming out the transfer portal from Michigan State. I really haven't taken the time to understand his game and what he's all about. But, I question why he made the decision to transfer from Michigan State to Syracuse. Then you got the quarterback coming in, the other transfer from Michigan. I'm curious to see as to how he fits into the offense. So you're right. We've lost a lot of skilled players to this portal transfer that's going on, where kids are just bouncing because they want the opportunity to play somewhere, or they're not seeing that the way things were going to be when they got recruited to come to Syracuse, it's not the same exact way. So things are changing, things are different. So, this portal opportunity presents a lot of challenges, but it also, in my thought, would present a lot of opportunities. What are we doing in the portal? What are we looking for in the portal? Are we going heavy for linemen? Are we going heavy for receivers? I'm just interested in you letting me know, Dan, what have you seen so far outside the two that I talked about? Are they making a concerted effort, or what position are they making a concerted effort at that you're hearing about within the portal to get better?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to Syracuse, they were leading the portal, which is something you don't want to do, leading the transfer portal in the ACC with the most players transferring out, and that being above Virginia, who made a coaching change, that being above Virginia Tech, who made a coaching change, Duke, who made a coaching change, Miami, who made a coaching change. So you got people leaving a program that's keeping their coach for a 7th season more than a program that's changing a coach, and maybe at the time they don't know who it's going to be. The guys that are leaving, and I want to really caution fans who rip on these guys. It's funny how, that guy's my favorite guy, or I love him so much, or I think he's great, and in the moment he decides to leave, they say he's trash and he never meant anything to the team. Jeff Canton-Arku, people say, oh, who cares about him? Jeff Canton-Arku was in the rotation at linebacker. He had offers from like the second he went into the portal. This man, from what I remember, he had what felt like at least 10 offers, 12 offers, like a dozen offers at least out there just day after day, week after week, and decided to go to Memphis. And people said, why Memphis? That just goes to show me the lack of education. Memphis sends numerous players to the NFL perennially, and right now they have 5 or 6 running backs alone in the NFL. Mike Norvell, who's at Florida State, was there. Before that, Justin Fuente, and now Ryan Silverfield. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. The 2 tight ends that Syracuse had over the last couple of seasons, they ran out of Syracuse. Aaron Hackett from Venice, Florida, good player, and he went off to TCU. He was supposed to go to TCU, ended up going to Kent State and joining Sean Lewis, who is the former offensive coordinator for Dino. And then Luke Benson is now going to be at Georgia Tech. And Syracuse, arguably the best 1-2 punch they've had at tight end in years. And they didn't play to the tight end. They didn't utilize the tight end. And so both guys left. They weren't getting the ball. Guys like Sherrod Johnson that really never got an opportunity and finally were starting to get one. He went off to FIU because he got it. And then all of a sudden the offense changed. Landon Morris came in here and didn't even spend 5 seconds in here before he's gone. So, and now over in Utah. And I think, guys like Ben LaBrose, who started at safety, we're not seeing a team where I'm looking up and down this list and going, oh, that's a backup who was pissed, and that's a backup who was pissed. It's like, that's your second running back, that's your number 1 receiver, that's your number 1 quarterback, that's your rotation linebacker, that's going to be your top interior lineman if he came back, that's your number 1 tight end, that's your fill-in cornerback when guys have been injured, that's another backup running back who plays receiver, that's another guy who's a starting receiver, that's a guy who's supposed to be a starting tight end or receiver, that's a starting safety. I mean, we're not looking at Syracuse saying, oh, these are a bunch of disgruntled guys who want nothing to do with the program because they don't play. Most of these guys played, and so, how is Syracuse attacking the portal? Well, compared to what they're losing, they're only bringing in a few. Dan Villari, it's up in the air. He only had a few snaps at Michigan, and I wonder about kind of, who he is and his character coming into this program and what that's going to bring to it, because I take character into account and not just football play. So I'm looking at that from him, and, some of these other guys like C.J. Hayes, why would he transfer into a team that's got a bunch of receivers leaving? That's a question that I ask as well. So, and outside of that, Braylon Oliver's coming in as a safety. Nobody else is coming in at this point when you look at guys transferring into Syracuse. So it says a lot to me that over the past couple seasons, you have a massive number going out and a very tiny number coming in. So how are they attacking the transfer portal? Not anywhere near how the transfer portal is attacking them.
When you highlight the fact that we have more going out than any other school in the ACC, to me that's alarming. To me, that's saying that there's a problem within the organization. Well, the team. It says that there's a problem there, and that to me is one of the most alarming things because recruits see that. New high school recruits see that. Yeah, these kids are excited to get recruited by a Division I school. And, they're excited for their families, for their friends to come see them play. But right now, a lot of these kids look at this thing as a business. And to one point that you said, Dan, which is correct, these folks on these football Facebook groups and everything, you got to stop personally attacking these young men because they make the decision to go on and play somewhere else. You can't praise them at one point when they're wearing the uniform, and then as soon as they change the uniform because they're unhappy or because things aren't working out the way they were supposed to for them, or things aren't working out the way that was promised to them, you got to stop attacking them personally, because there's been a lot of that on the group, and I got to thank folks like Jerry Kelly. Jerry's a mainstay for us, one of the best guys that helped us out when we were in school, devoted coach, devoted friend. I commend him and other people who on those groups that really stick up for these young kids, because it's bad. It's a travesty when you see the folks, the way they talk about some of these young men because they leave to go somewhere else. But Dan, going back to your other point, that's alarming when kids are leaving at that rapid pace. Yeah. To me, that says that inside that school, inside that football program, there's an issue. There's a major issue there where, one, it sounds like there's a trust issue, there's a consistency issue, and there's a lack of leadership issue. To me, those are three alarming things that are really concerning, that we've got so many kids going out, not replacing them anyway, and then the kids are coming in. You mentioned character, and I don't know the background for that young man. I don't know what's going on. But character, that's a true thing. And you said that that's right. You don't want something to bring in any negative vibe or negative energies that's coming into the organization. I can't keep saying organization. That's coming into the program, because that will halt any growth that we're having. And unfortunately, I really don't see us having any growth right now. So bring in somebody that's low character, that's a red flag.
Yeah, and the thing is, I just look at the experience of, I look at how I experience people, and I consider myself a good judge of character. And so, I hope that I'm like, okay, maybe I caught this person on a bad day, or maybe, this is something that I gauged wrong. I want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. But Syracuse, the one thing I can say about Syracuse under Scott Schaefer and under Doug Marrone and all of that is the guys that they brought in, they all had really, for the most part, they all had good character. And, and not saying that now they're not bringing in guys with good character. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, I think when people say, oh, it's the changing of the times and it's an ego world. No, there's a lot of good kids out there. There's a lot of kids out there that don't think, I'm holier than thou. And I think, Schaaf did a great job of really pulling in these kids. And Randy Etzel said it on my show yesterday. He said, Syracuse is a place where you have to train. You're not going to get Syracuse, who they recruit, those guys are not going to be completely put together yet. Like Syracuse is a developmental program. They're a program where guys go to develop and to get better. The guys that come into that program are not at their peak. They're not where, they're not at their highest level yet. And I think that, for me, I saw so much growth in a Dyshawn Davis, so much growth in an Irv Phillips, so much growth in a Mo Neal, so much growth in an Eric Dungy, so much growth in a Jonathan Thomas and a Zaire Franklin and a Paris Bennett. And so, I commend Dino in finding the Ciscos and the Afatu Melifonwus and guys of that caliber, and Sean Tucker. But I also call Sean Tucker Dino's happy accident, because Sean was fourth on the depth chart, and without Abdul Adams and Jarvion Howard opting out last year, and Jawar Jordan Jr., who eventually transferred to Louisville, getting injured, without those three things happening, I don't know if we would have ever seen Sean Tucker actually play ample minutes in a Syracuse uniform. So he was forced to play Sean Tucker. Now it might be the thing that saved Dino's job, but why was he fourth on the depth chart when now he's in top 3 in the country? So, I think ultimately there's been more questions than answers over these last 6 years. And now I just want to make sure that Dino and him and I have mutual respect. I want him to win. I want him to be successful. I applaud a lot of the decisions he's made with certain people that he's brought in and what he's done. I love that he brought in Deion Maddox to finally, 6 years in, decide to connect with the alumni. All I would say to Dino is, I know you're kind of scrambling maybe. I know you're looking for bodies. I know the amount of guys coming in and the amount of seats you got to fill on an 85-man roster. I just want to caution Dino to not just take anybody. Don't just take a heartbeat, because when you're just taking anybody who would say yes, you're putting yourself in a position where you could cause some issues in your locker room.
I agree. And I do have to commend Deion. I got the pleasure to meet Deion when we all came up last year for the golf outing that we did, and to salute and to give praise to a gentleman that was just tremendous in all our lives, Marcus Paul. So I got to meet Dion then and that opportunity. And, we voiced a lot of the issues and concerns that we had with Dion about everything that was going on. And, overnight he changed it, starting getting emails about tickets, about every game, whether it's home or away game, asking guys to come to practice. Hey, this is the first day when the freshmen are coming in, or this is when the whole team is coming in. Need guys to come to the practice field to cheer those guys, to support those guys on. So he is starting to do what was needed to do years ago, 7 years ago to be precise. I'm not saying that it's too late, but it's left a bad taste in a lot of the mouths of a lot of the guys who really, really love Syracuse University, who really gave their heart, their body, their soul to be there. For them not to be able to come into the practice field or to say hi to a kid or talk to somebody, or just being invited to a game, standing on the sidelines or whatever, that rubbed a lot of guys the wrong way. Your best friend, one example, him and I talk about it all the time. Rob can't stand that situation. And it's a shame. It's a shame that you wouldn't utilize, the success or the legacy of some of the guys who had already been there. You're not giving them the opportunity to get to know some of the young men that's there in that school. So that was a huge negative. But I think what Dion is trying to do in the long run, it will be beneficial for the program. Hopefully he can get more of the alumni as guys that come back. I mean, I'm in a daily text thread, 2 text threads. One has about 8 guys in it, and the other one has about 20 guys in it. And, so we're all in communication with each other. We're going to probably try to look to getting back up there for a game on a regular basis, not just when it's an anniversary or a reunion or some great season, but just to go back on the whim, just to go. I've got friends that played up and down schools on the East Coast, and, Temple, I've got 4 or 5 friends that played at Temple. They go to every Temple home game. They have a great tailgate. They have a great relationship. They've got a new head coach now, too, and a new AD. But they've got great relationships as alumni with the current coaching staff, the new coaching staff, and the administration, that it blows my mind that we don't have the same type of connectivity.
No, and the thing, and you bring up being in the Philadelphia area, you bring up Temple. Temple, every 3 to 5 years, changes their head coach. I've seen, I covered Matt Rule, I covered Matt Carey, I covered Matt Rule, Rod Carey, Jeff Collins, I covered, before that, Steve Adazio. To see the consistent changing of the guard in Temple, and they still care. I think about Chad Mavety talking to me about Florida State. He was recruited by Schaeff in Syracuse, loved Syracuse, just ultimately wasn't the right fit. Went to Florida State eventually, and Mike Norvell comes in years after Chad played. Chad's not that old, but a few years after, he comes in, and Chad went there. He played there for 2 years. He walks in. Mike Norvell came over to him, knew his name, knew the years that he played, even though he wasn't his coach, even though he didn't recruit him. He might have not even known anything about him, but he made sure if this man's going to be on campus, that I know who's on campus, I know something about them, and I go and I say hello. And then I have the Kyle McIntosh story where he came to Syracuse. He did an event for me at the CNY Pop Festival, went over to Syracuse, talked it up, talked about his wife, talked to his wife and to his daughter and said, I can't wait to take you guys on campus. It's going to be tremendous. This, Syracuse shaped me. They shaped my life. He went on to campus. He went over to, one of the football buildings or one of the buildings over there, and they wouldn't allow him in the building. And so he had to turn around, drive back to Connecticut with his wife and his daughter, humiliated because the school that he helped build wouldn't even let him back on campus to walk through the facilities. So, I look at Syracuse and I see they don't have the players on the field. That when they honored the 1987 team, you had to sit on the other side with Pitt, and you weren't even able to stand on the field with the guys. You couldn't even sit behind the team on the field. You had to sit on the visitor side. You weren't allowed to go in the Ernie Davis room. It's like, I see that there's schools that have their alumni on the field, that they have them, broadcasting with them, that they have them being a part of stuff. It's just, over and over and over again, I have the same conversation with different faces and different voices of Syracuse football history that say, Dan, I don't feel loved. I don't feel respected. I don't get phone calls. I don't get appreciated. I want to give a check to the university, and all I want is for Dino to call me, and he hasn't called me yet. I want to feel that I could bring my family up. I want to go do this. I mean, I had John Flannery talk to me about the fact that he went onto the field of a game before, and he said, I walked by everybody. Nobody knew who I was. He played in the NFL. He was on a Super Bowl team. Like, it amazes me how alumni, seemingly anywhere else in the world, people are like, thank you so much for all you've done. At Syracuse, once you finish your eligibility, it's on to the next one. And I don't understand the value of saying, use ya. I mean, it's basically like, once I'm done with the candy, I throw the wrapper out. And I don't understand that.
You know what, Dan, let me use a different analogy, and a great what you just said. Can you imagine a guy like Michael Irvin walking on to Miami, going into the practice facility, going to the field, and be shushed away and turned away? Use that analogy for Rob. Drum lives there. Drum embodies Syracuse. Drum loves Syracuse. And he can't even get the decency and respect to walk onto a field for a game, to go to a game, to stand on the sidelines, just to talk to somebody, to talk to a young kid. To me, that is totally disrespectful. So disrespectful. Something like that would never happen to Michael Irvin, who embodied and was everything about Miami. So why is it happening to a guy like Rob Drummond, who lives in Syracuse, grew up in Syracuse, played for Syracuse, had a great year for Syracuse, great years for Syracuse, and successful in the NFL with my Eagles, another team? How could something like that happen, and the coaching staff doesn't look at that and realize we're screwing this thing up? We're not screwing it up just for today, but we're screwing this up for long haul. We all have tons of friends that we played college balls with who talk about going back for their homecomings and everything. We got to pull each other's straws or strings to go back to Syracuse, and it shouldn't be that way. We should just want to go back because that's where we grew up as young men. That's where we had fun. That's where we probably started to grow and mature as young men, but nobody wants any part of going back to that university.
Well, and that's the thing is, I think about it like this. What about the players that have passed away? What about the players that didn't feel welcome, didn't get welcome back, never got a phone call, never got a ticket, never got asked to come back, didn't feel welcome from the school that they helped build? What about the Syracuse football alumni that have passed away in these years where they've been turned away? The guys you can't apologize to, the families you can't make right, the ones that you can't fix because they're not here anymore. That's what I think about. The fact that Chris Gedney was fired from Syracuse University months before he passed away, and they didn't tell that story. They just told the story of, oh my God, we miss him so much because he died. You weren't connected to him. You let him go. And, it's just, when you try to control the narrative, the truth will always squeak out. And that's the reality of it all to me, is that, as much as you try to hold it in, the truth will always find its way. And I am floored by the fact that it takes forever to retire a Joe Morris jersey. I think it says something about Syracuse that Floyd Little, even coming back here, had left. And, Floyd and I, very close friends, and I will love him forever, and I hope to see him when I'm 100-something years old, and I, God willing, get to go to heaven. There are so many people that they can't apologize to anymore because they're not here. And that's what I find every single day. If somebody asks me why do you beat the drum? Why do you care so much? Why does it matter to you? You didn't play football at Syracuse. Why are you pulling on this scab? I'm not pulling on a scab. I'm taking care of the guys that came here and built something. I want to be a voice for you. I want to be an avenue for you, a place for you to feel like home. If nobody's going to listen, I'm going to listen. My listeners, my viewers, my readers, they're going to listen. They're going to watch. They're going to be a part of it. Because if I can do nothing else on this planet, this is my hometown. People don't understand. This is not the team I grew up around. This is my city. When you do something like this, you disrespect my city. You spit on me. You spit on the people. You spit on my grandparents. You spit on my great-grandparents, my parents. So the way that I look at it is simple as this. If you are looking to have a voice, and you are a good person and you want to be included and you want to be a part of something and you want the respect that you deserve, you will always have a place here on my show. And if I got to walk up on that hill with every single one of you gentlemen, I will do that with a suit and tie on, and we will do what we need to do to make a change that you deserve, because you never should have been kicked out of the door that you broke down in the first place.
Dan, and that's why we love you. That's why we come on your show. Look, I'll take this personal from me. You know, I'm not a household name as far as Syracuse football goes, but the folks that do know me know that I embody Syracuse and I love Syracuse. And more importantly, when I say that, what I mean by that is it's the coaches that we had that really made major impacts in our lives as to who we are. And I'm just going to give you a real quick example. So we were in Hawaii. It was our last game at the Aloha Bowl. And every year for that last practice, Coach DeLeon would go around and he would comment and address every senior that was in the locker room offensively. So he addressed everybody. And when he came to me, his exact words to me, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, I'll just say it. His exact words he said to me was, Kevin came here with high hopes. Unfortunately, those things didn't work out the way he expected it or we expected it to do. But I see nothing but great, tremendous success for him outside of football. And that couldn't be further from the truth. My professional career has been fantastic. I've had a great professional career, able to travel to places and do things with my friends and my family that I never thought I would be ever able to do. And the reason why is I didn't push myself as hard as I should have my 4 years in Syracuse. So I made a vow to myself that no matter what it is that I do, I would push it to the nth degree to be the best person I can for that. And I only solely did that because Coach DeLeon inspired me to do that. So that's what I mean when I say we are connected to this university. We are connected to this university. You talked about the deaths. We just lost another teammate, Big Sid, Sidney Armour, a month ago. So I God rest Sid and his wife Dawn and his kids. But, you know, we are all still connected. We may not be at Syracuse, but I told you, I'm on a daily text thread with E.J. Dowdell, Dwayne Kennan, Mike Owens, Frank Conover, Tennell, Mark Swinson. Then I'm on another text thread with the Roger Remos, the Darryl Johnsons, the Pat Davis, Scott Schwades, Rob Burnett, all the other guys. We are all still so connected, and it's a shame that we can't be still connected with the university that brought us all together as to how we all met as young men and how we still have that bond today. Whether you live in Dallas, whether you live in Chicago, whether you live in New York, whether you live here up in Marlboro, Maryland, whether you live in Philadelphia, no matter where you are, they can never separate us as a group because we know what we did. All we ask for is, and we ain't expecting nobody to kiss our behinds or do anything, just let us be a part of something because we helped start something.
Said perfectly. Right here by Kevin Greene. You shouldn't have to ask to be a part of something you built. It's like building a car and then being told you can't drive it. So with that being said, the keys here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I can always throw you the keys and let you drive around for a little bit, Kevin. And the same goes for the alumni out there, whoever you are, wherever you are. If you're listening, if you're watching and you haven't been on the show, contact me. Shoot me a message on social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'm putting up a beacon. There's a light out there for you. And if you want to have a say, you want to have your voice be heard, you want to talk about whatever's on your mind, Syracuse alumni are always welcome right here because I grew up watching you, respecting you, loving you, and appreciating you from afar. I'm a big kid who wakes up every single day and still can't believe the fact that I get to talk to the guys that I got to watch. So, Kevin, on behalf of Syracuse, New York, on behalf of Central and Upstate New York, on behalf of Syracuse fans everywhere, thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for what you have done. And please know that with every fiber of my being, I will always do my best to make sure that you have a voice you have a say and that you have a place.
Dan, I appreciate you. And one thing I'm going to say personally to you, if you talk it into existence, it will happen. And if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I do know. So that being said, Mr. Greene, I'll talk with you very soon, and I would love to catch up here, and we owe each other an off-the-air chat. So I'll be in touch with you, and definitely thank you for your kind words, and thank you for caring about the community and the future of Syracuse football. I really do appreciate that.
You got it, my friend. Have a great day and be safe.
All right, take care. That coming from Kevin Greene once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So very much appreciate him being on the broadcast and thank him so much for being a part of it. And all the alumni that have been a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. It means the world to me that you've taken the time to be a part of this show. And Bruce Williams weighing in here as well, saying, they don't recruit the Syracuse area. Speaking of the Syracuse staff, and my response to him, I guess Derek Gore isn't that good playing with the Chiefs in the playoffs right now, one step out of the Super Bowl, or Servassier Dennis or John Phillips or Stevie Scott. Why not come to see Syer Torrance play when you've offered him, showing his family that you actually care? I'm baffled by these kids not getting love in the community of Central and Upstate New York. But if anything, if this matters at all to you kids out there and to you families, I will always support you. I'll always be here for you. And I'll always want the best. Because when it comes to our families of Central and Upstate New York, you don't have to ask to matter to me. You matter to me the day that you were born. Because every single one of us has a place, and every single one of us together decide to either build up this community or tear it down. I will not ever stand on the side of tearing it down. We build together, we build true. And with that being said, thank you. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back with Nate Trout right after this. The mentor of Brady Denaburg, who just got an offer from Syracuse, looking at playing for the Orange, and he just so happens to be connected to a guy who is one of the greatest kickers in Syracuse football history. That's coming up right after this fast break from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skinny Atlas, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skinny Atlas Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you here where sports meets that thing called life, and always appreciate being here inside of those Cafe Kubal studios with locations all throughout Central and Upstate New York. Cafe Kubal is warming you up or cooling you down. Some people, even in the cold weather, love their iced coffee and their iced chais and whatnot, so you can get those all year round. You can get the hot stuff as well, no matter what the temperature is outside. So get your chais, your teas, your coffees, and more, including those awesome sandwiches and fantastic treats. So chocolate chip cookies and a chocolate chip banana bread is the stuff that I like the best when it comes to the treats over at Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street and 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, New York. Also inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners. And of course, you can find Cafe Kubal at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, as well as being served inside of PB&J's Lunchbox, who today, for the first time ever, puts my nachos on the map. The nachos that I make at home for my girlfriend and I, that recipe was now, and you can watch the video on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. My nachos as of today, January 25th, are now on the menu, available for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can buy them anytime, exclusively at 663 Old Liverpool Road at PB&J's Lunchbox. So the DTCNY nachos are now out there. And with that being said, my guy from down in the great state of Florida with Merritt Island, as well as somebody who knows Syracuse very, very well, his first home Florida, his second home Syracuse, my first home Syracuse, my second home Florida. So we know each other's digs pretty well, and I appreciate the fact that I've had the opportunity to get to know him over time. And more than anything else, my favorite kicker in Syracuse football history is also a good friend of mine. So let's bring him in, Nate Trout. Nate, how we doing today?
Good. How you doing, buddy? It's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's great to talk with you as well. And I love that a couple months ago, we got to be down there at Hooters ushering in the football season and got to actually be face-to-face and hanging out. So I look forward to, seeing you sometime very soon again. But always good to have you on the show, and great to be able to connect with you, Nate. And, so on behalf of all of, Syracuse fandom history, I want to give you a shout out and say thank you for all you did for Syracuse, and for the record you held as the all-time leading scorer for many, many years until Andre Schmidt got it this year. So I do want to commend you on the fact that above any quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, or anybody on the team ever, you held the all-time leading scoring opportunity at Syracuse up until Andre Schmidt this season. So congratulations to you on that. And I know that you told me you wanted somebody to break it. So, and I know that you're a fan of Schmidt as well.
Oh yeah, Andre's a great kicker, and it's well deserved on his part. He's also, broke several other records that Cole had and myself had, and but it's well deserved. He's got a great place. He's continued the tradition of great kickers there at the school.
When we speak about tradition of great kickers, your mentee down at Merritt Island, Brady Denaburg, we were on the show a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the fact that Brady was hoping that he would get an offer from Syracuse. You were hoping that Syracuse would give him a look as Coach Ligg, the new special teams coordinator, had come down Bob Ligashevsky to Merritt Island. So bring me into these last few weeks and what it's been like. Has Coach Ligg, I know he's kept in touch with Brady, has he been in touch with you leading up to his offer from the last time we spoke until now, when we did that picture of the three of us on video together? We talked about Brady wanting the offer. Bring me into that moment and this moment now, the in-between of how this offer actually came to fruition.
Yeah, Brady's, there's a lot of recruiting that's actually picked up from him since the state. He went through the state run, which I knew was going to happen as he got more publicity out there. Brady's a great kicker. He's a hell of a kicker. And he's going to do a great job in college, and I think he has, the potential to get better and better and even potentially go to the NFL one day. And he's got raw talent that's really God-given. So I'm looking forward to that. But as far as Syracuse goes, Coach Ligg came down and saw him and obviously liked him enough to vouch for him to the staff there, and they were able to put an offer together for him. And I'm excited for Brady. I'm trying not to sway his decision or give him too much advice, when it comes to Syracuse, because I'm obviously a little bit biased. But at the same time, I'm just telling him to go on his visit, and the campus has to feel like home. The staff has to feel like home for him. And ultimately, I want what's best for Brady and his college experience.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you said, you want the best for Brady and not trying to sway him. He has a full ride from Air Force, a full ride from Syracuse, and a walk-on opportunity with the Florida Gators. What are your thoughts on the three different places that Brady has currently given him an opportunity?
Well, Florida's obviously Florida, and they were pretty high on him. Coach Mullen was at the time. They decided to offer another kid, but that doesn't detour from how much Florida liked him. You're only allowed a certain amount of preferred walk-ons, and obviously they respected him enough or thought enough of him to offer him there. But, the staff's gone now. There's a few staff members still there, but most of the staff's gone since Coach Mullen left. Air Force is Air Force, right? Great tradition, great campus. Obviously, they got a great football program. And then Syracuse, Dan, I bleed orange, so I love the school. I think Brady's going to have a good opportunity to see it, and I think he's going to enjoy it. It's a beautiful campus up there. They've really upgraded the facilities to kind of get up to speed with the ACC. And, we'll see how his visit goes. But, again, this is Brady, so it's I want what's best for Brady and his family, and let him enjoy his college experience as much as he can.
Speaking here with Nate Trout, played for Syracuse 96 to 99, one of the greatest kickers in the history of Syracuse football and the mentor of Brady Denaburg. What made you want to mentor Brady? I know that you coach girls soccer over at Merritt Island, and I know he plays on the boys soccer team. So how did you get to know him? Was it through the world of soccer? What made you connect with Brady, and what did you see in him that made you want to mentor him and help him out?
Well, I've known Brady's dad since I was in high school, and we always had a mutual respect for each other. He was a coach in the area, and he kind of followed me along, and I've always kept in touch with him here and there. And then I moved back home from North Carolina, and Brady was kicking, and I was just asked to come out and work with him. And, we've been working pretty hard at it the last couple of years. Obviously, He didn't kick as much as I would have liked him to this year, being a quarterback and doing a lot of other things. But at the same time, he did what he had to do. And, he had a lot of responsibility on that team this year, being the quarterback, being the leader of the team, kicking the whole 9 yards. So I'm excited to see what the next steps are for him. I'm trying to work with anybody that's coming through the high school over the next couple of years. We got some kickers with some potential coming through after Brady. Being that I'm an alumni of Marathon High School, I'll work with anybody that goes through there, and Brady was no different, at the time.
Nate, for you, as you see what he's done, like you said, you wanted him to kick a little bit more, but he was playing quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback. We talked about a drive where he had to run a couple times and then make a pass down the field to set up his own field goal to force the team into extra time to give him an opportunity at playing in the championship. Very rarely does a quarterback set up their own field goal opportunity. What does he bring to a team? I know you said you wanted him to kick more, but the fact that he's been a quarterback, which by definition is typically the leader of a locker room, either offensively or in general, seeing him as a quarterback, as a dual threat, he can run, he can pass, and he can kick. What does that do for his value in college?
Well, let's put him what he won this year in perspective. So he was the Class 5A state, the Dairy Farmer State Player of the Year. So you're talking in the lines of Dante Culpepper, Peter Wark. Hall of Famers that have won that award. And he was voted the top player in his class for all the state of Florida. It just happens to be that he's a heck of a kicker. So he's a competitor for one, and he competes hard. And he brings a lot to the table from a leadership standpoint. So, when I was in school, Coach Rippon, who, is one of my all-time favorite coaches, used to tell us, you're not just a kicker, you're part of the team, and you're going to do this, this, and this. Well, Brady's already coming in, already having that mindset of being a leader. And like he said on his interview earlier today, he's just an athlete that happens to kick. I was thinking about it earlier, kids that came in with maybe some of the same recognition. I'm sure there's others, but I'm having a brain fart. But the kid that went to Florida State that won them the national championship after all the wide rights, I know he was one of the top quarterbacks in the state and the country that year, and he came in was a kicker for Florida State in the late 90s, early 2000s. Or no, maybe it was in the mid-90s. But anyhow, Brady brings that same leadership, that same quality, that same work ethic that he's going to bring, and he's going to be a value that, whatever school gets him is going to be lucky to have him as that part of it too, not just kicking, but the leadership part.
Yeah, and that's the thing, to give a little background on Brady and who he is as a person and what he can do. Bring me into his kicking style and his ability. What is it about him? Because, you not only are a kicker in the history of the great sport of football, but because you did it so well. Yes, you know how to kick, but you also know how to kick and be very, very effective. So you see little nuances, little tendencies, little things that we may not see, that to the naked eye many fans don't see. What do you see with Brady that sticks out to you that maybe the average eye wouldn't see?
Well, I think the big thing is if you close your eyes, all the great kickers, you can tell who the great kickers are by not looking at them, right? It's the way that the thump comes off the ball, and that goes. But honestly, it's his explosiveness. His leg speed and explosiveness is God-given, and that's what's going to bring him to the next level. As he gets working out more and things like that, he's even going to get more explosive, more quick, and more pop to his leg, and more so than he already has. So the biggest thing I would just say that stands out to me is his explosiveness, his impact on the ball.
And when we're looking at, what he can do and what he can bring to a team, the fact that, if he were to go to Syracuse, he plays, and him and I spoke about this, he plays half the season indoors in a controlled environment. I said, unless a bunch of fans in the dome decide to blow a certain way, I don't think there's going to be any air or anything to take it. The fact that, you played in the dome, you know what it's like to have half of your season in a controlled environment. Did you talk to him about that and what that could do for him? And is that, I guess the second part of it is that positive, or can it be detrimental if an NFL team's looking at you and you spent half of your career inside of a dome?
Obviously, I mean, I don't know the impact from an NFL standpoint. It still comes down, can you kick the ball? But, being in that controlled area that I was in and that the other kickers have been is obviously a benefit. But I feel like other kickers always struggled in there, and I don't know why, but, it was my favorite place to kick, obviously. But I feel like the percentage, if you go back, wasn't as high as people think it was for opposing kickers in there. And I can't tell you why or why not, but it just seemed that that's the way it was. But, obviously for Brady's aspect, being in a controlled area would be nice. The Dome, when it is filled up, is one of the loudest stadiums in the country, and it is a great atmosphere. And hopefully, Syracuse can get that back to that point to fill it up and kind of take it back to the next level that we need to get to.
Yeah, that coming from Nate Trout here, 96 to 99, playing for Syracuse and playing with some incredible teammates and having the opportunity. Kevin Greene, who was on before you, shared. He said, look at our kickers and who we had, and he named, the three kickers that they had in their time. What does it mean to you when someone of a different position, offense or defense, comes on and talks on any show of any team? And in the case, Kevin, speaking from your alma mater of Syracuse, he was there just a few years before you got there, finished up in 90, and you came in 96. To hear him say, as a running back and a fullback and somebody who's helped out on special teams, to be able to still remember the names of the kickers and to say, hey, Dan, before I say anything, let me shout out my kickers. What does it mean to you? Because there's a world that thinks that there's a team, and then kickers and punters and long snappers are off in the corner, and they're like not part of the team, or they're like an extension of the team. And then you hear somebody like Kevin this morning say, oh, no, these are my teammates and we owe them a lot. What does that mean to you when somebody gives props to kickers that have played on football teams on offense and defense?
Yeah, I believe Kevin Greene, John Biscup was there at the time with those guys, who obviously was a great kicker at Syracuse. But, in the end, you're buddies with everybody. You're still part of the team. It's kind of the old myth, from the 60s and 50s and 70s, where kickers were outskirts. And, yeah, they do have benefits of it. From obviously we're not pounding our heads every single day like linemen and things like that and all that. But at the same time, we still are part of the unit, still part of the team. Like I always said, I did not discriminate who I partied with on the team. So it was anybody that wanted to have a good time, I was ready to go. And I think that helped me integrate more into being more part of the team, which probably helped me be captain my senior year. But at the same time, I think that I never felt like an outcast of any team I was on. If anything, I felt like, I was in the middle of everything.
Well, and that's an awesome thing to hear, that coming here from Nate Trout, that always feeling a part of that. And what did it mean to you to be a captain, to work your way up in college at Syracuse, to eventually have a C on your jersey as a special teams representative, just what that meant to you?
Well, I think of any accomplishment I've ever had, being voted captain by my peers and Coach Pasqualoni having enough confidence in me to do it. And, I think that as a kicker, you got to go above and beyond just to show what you can do in the weight room and working hard and trying to make as good a decision as you possibly can off the field. I definitely wasn't perfect by any means, but, I did have a lot of respect for the staff and my teammates and what we were trying to do, especially going into my senior year. But at the same time, being a captain, you look at the captains of years past, the Marvin Harrisons and the Don McNabbs, and I'm in that part, which is awesome. And at the time, I was the first kicker that, at the time, Coach Pasqualoni told me I was the first kicker to ever be voted in as captain. at Syracuse University, which obviously with the tradition there was a big accomplishment.
Yeah, and I applaud that, and I appreciate that. And I told you, Nate, I forget what game it was, but I was with my dad, and I know I brought it up before, it was dead silent in the dome, and I yelled out, and you were kicking, and I loved when you played, and for whatever reason, I just took a liking to you, a connection to you. And I remember I was sitting in like one of the corners of the dome, and it was really quiet. I didn't anticipate it to be that quiet. And I was like, yeah, Nate! so now I look back on that time, and I think about it now, and I just find it so surreal that, being a kid, wanting you to do well, and now being an adult, and then seeing you mentor Brady and wanting to see him do well, it's got to be pretty cool for you and surreal to you that, whether he goes to Syracuse or not, that, here you are as a guy who found success and rose to the D1 level, and now here's a guy that you've trained who's found success and is getting respect and is getting an offer and opportunity, to play in different places. And it's got to make a proud, I know you're already a father, but it's got to kind of almost like make you a proud uncle or like a proud extension of a family to have this moment. I'm sure it's got a special place in your heart.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, one of the things that I don't know if everyone knows about me, but one of the biggest things I always wanted to do when I got to be an adult is to give back. I would love to be able to hold it in and never give back to the people that helped me or the youth, for the same things that people helped me growing up to get to the point I was at. And, I got into coaching girls soccer. And I'm not always the easiest guy to play for, and I'll admit that. But at the same time, I feel like when they leave the program and they come back, we're best friends. And that's the kind of relationship I had with my mentors. And I want to have that same relationship with the kids that I coach, the women that I coach, and the girls that I coach, to kind of take that, later on in life and try to help them and give back to what people gave to me. And I take a lot of pride in that. I respect it. And I've always tried to give back to my community. And, whether it was in North Carolina or whether it's back home here at the school, I want to give back to the school. I want to give back to my community and kind of try to take it to the next level. But as far as Brady goes, I mean, he's one of them, and I hope Brady will come back one day and he'll do that for somebody else. I got my son coming up, who's a freshman right now. Some of his buddies wanted to get into kicking. There's a kicker at the school now, like I said, and I hope to be able to get back to those kids as well. And I don't want it to stop after my kids leave. My goal is to continue doing it. It gives me a sense of purpose and try to continue to build the soccer program, or keep the soccer program at a high level, and at the same time get back to the kickers at the school and try to help the football program as much as I can moving on.
How important is it for a kicker to play soccer and to have that be a part of their upbringing? And so, what can that do with you knowing the nuances like we talked about before and just like the intricate parts of being a kicker? How vital would it be? Would you tell kickers around the country, if they're not involved in soccer, to get involved? I mean, Brady just had 6 goals in the last 4 games. He's done a tremendous job out there. He spent months away from the team because they were playing, like you said, in the state championships, going through the playoffs in Florida, and then he comes onto the team and scores immediately. How vital has it been to Brady's maturation process to have soccer as part of what he does outside of football? And would you tell kids to play soccer if they're not, if they're looking to kick in the college football world?
Well, I don't know how much it relates to being a college kicker per se, but at the same time, soccer, in my opinion, helps you become a better athlete. It helps with footwork, and most importantly, from a kicker aspect, it helps you strike the ball. So you're learning how to strike the ball at a young age. And some of it, like Brady, has God-given talent to where they can strike it better than other people. And unfortunately, most of that's not taught. It's like I said, God-given. I had it, Brady has it, and other kickers that go D1 or play at a high level have that same potential. But soccer is a great sport for footwork. for athleticism, especially at a young age. But like I'll tell anybody, I'm a huge fan of kids playing multiple sports. Anybody that's ever asked, I tell them to go do something else. I got girls going to play lacrosse for the first time this year, which I think is awesome. All those things help you become a better athlete, which in return is going to help you become a better kicker. It's just as far as a quarterback, you play a basketball, you're going to be a better leader, you're going to be able to jump better, and all these different things. So it relates to a lot of different things in a lot of different sports.
Speaking here with Nate Trout, Syracuse Orange kicker, alum, and the mentor of Brady Denaburg, who just received an offer from Syracuse ahead of National Signing Day. Before I let you go, Nate, what is Brady's ceiling in your opinion, and has he come anywhere close to it yet?
Brady, in my opinion, hasn't come close to his potential or his ceiling. I think if you really look at his path as a kicker, per se, he focused quite a bit on it his freshman and sophomore years. Then he got into starting quarterback as a junior, and his focus really hasn't been on kicking. And that's really years where he can fine-tune himself just to be more precise. But at the same time, when you watch the kid, you can understand why he has a Division I talent or even better than that. I think once he settles down and he does this thing on a day-to-day basis and he learns the art of being a kicker more so than just kicking the ball, I think his level his aspirations of being in the NFL are not far off. If you look at the Lindo Mares and the kids that I've been around or the guys that I've been around that were great, the Shane Grahams and these others I've seen, they all have the same thing, and they have an explosive leg that honestly, I hate to say this, but it's God-given talent. And if he can fine-tune that from being a kicker, I think the sky's the limit for him.
And Nate, for you, what makes you think that he has it in him to make it to the NFL? Going off of what you were just talking about, to go one step further, you talked about Shane Graham and Alindo Mare. What is it about Brady that makes you truly believe that he can be one of those few jobs that are in the NFL? I mean, nowadays, I understand kickers can get changed more so because, kickers miss extra points since they moved it back and different things have happened. It used to be like 91, 92% that they're going to make an extra point, and now life's a little bit different here, and we know that some legs, like Harrison Buckers of the world and whatnot, can boot it like crazy, and Justin Tucker. But what makes you believe that Brady could be one of the 32 jobs in the NFL, knowing how hard it is to get there?
Well, I think Brady has that sense of, and this is going to come out wrong, I guess confidence is the word. I don't want to say arrogance, but confidence in himself. If you look at the Evan McPherson kid this weekend, I think he told Joe Burrow right before the kick, it looks like we're going to the the finals of the NFC Championship or the AFC, and that was before he kicked it. And this is a 53-yard kick. Brady has that same mentality to him, and he's a great teammate. He's a hard worker, and I think his confidence tied to the fact that he's going to learn how to be more of a kicker, I think is going to take him to the next level. And I think he can be one of those guys. Obviously time's going to tell, and he has a lot of work ahead of him. But, it'd be no surprise to me in 5 years from now or 4 years he's going to be getting drafted and have a long career in the NFL.
Brady Denaburg speaking about him this morning, fresh off of the exclusive first interview of Brady following his offer from Syracuse University, already an offer from Air Force and an opportunity to walk on with the Florida Gators. With that being said, Nate, I want to bring you into the final piece of today's show, the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. And since you know it better than anybody else, give me the ingredients to success of being a successful kicker in the world of football. I want to know the things that you think are the biggest foundational pieces besides having God-given talent, of the things you can work on, the things that are in your control, what you would say are the pillars of being a successful kicker in the sport of football.
Well, I think it's two things. I think it's being precise and it's being consistent. So I always say your steps have to be exactly the same every single time because that's all you have to go off of. So it's consistency. If you look at the great kids, the kickers when I was there, Sean Reale was an unbelievable punter, super consistent. Every ball he kicked was 44, 45 yards, turned over, perfect every time. Well, if you watch Sean in practice, I bet he dropped the ball, the practice his drop 1,000 times at practice. It's that repetitive, consistent nature that you got to work on every single day. It's an inch here or a half an inch here can detour whether you're going to make the kick or not make it based on plant foot placement and all that stuff. The other side of it is the mental aspect of it, of having to forget. If you look at the great ones, they're going to miss kicks, but is that going to turn into 2 missed kicks or 3 missed kicks? It's having that ability to miss a kick and then come back and make the next 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever the case is. It's having that ability to put it behind you and that mental strength to block everything else out and go on and move on from a mishap or something that goes wrong in a game. Obviously, Dan, you've been around football all your whole life. The ups and the flows of a game, the ups and downs of a game, you kind of got to stay on that medium, even keel and not get too excited about it. And I can tell you this from experience. I'll remember Coach Pasqualoni, we were beating Rutgers. It was like 42-0. And my freshman year, and he did this on purpose, and I will never forgive him for this. I was celebrating. I'm like, we're going to go out and party tonight. And there's like 3 minutes left in the game, and he sends me in for a 45-yarder, and I shank it. Well, that to me taught me a lesson. He was teaching me a lesson. You got to always be ready. And I wasn't. So I learned my lesson young at the program there to you got to stay even keel and keep your mindset right. And again, practice on the repetition part.
Yeah, and that, that's the thing is always be ready. You know what they say, if you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. So, that coming from Nate Trout here this morning, the ingredients to success. Nate, any final thoughts here this morning? I know it's going to be a continued conversation that we're going to have, but anything else you want to say about Brady? Anything you want, Coach Ligg to know or the Syracuse staff to know as he goes up there to visit this week? Is something that maybe is on your mind about Brady that we haven't talked about before I let you go?
Not really. I think I'm excited to hear what Brady thinks of the school and the visit up there. I hope it goes great for him. And, I think as far as a Syracuse fan, I think they're getting a heck of a kicker, a heck of a kid, a heck of a family. What's cool about Brady's family, his brother plays for the Nationals. His sister's an All-American at UCLA in beach volleyball and Olympic hopeful one day. So he's also bringing a little bit of, publicity with him along with his, himself. Brady hopefully can be the best of all 3 of them. But if you look at it, he's kind of been in his brother and sister's shadow. But I'm hoping Brady can shake out of that as he gets more geared up for college here. But I also want to take the time to give a shout-out to my girls at Meriden High School and my kids. And, obviously Syracuse University. I love the school. And I wish nothing but the best for the football program and that area.
Absolutely, and a kicker who had a career at Syracuse, field goal percentage of never dipping below 73% of the field goals made of those that you attempted. And when it came to extra points, as we go down the line from 96 to 99, 52 of 53, 46 of 52, 58 of 58, and 31 of 32, 95.9% effective when it came to extra points, and 100% in 1998. Nate Trout, besides the fact that you were 100% in 1998, I know I get 100% of, you giving your time and your energy and always making yourself available. So your 100% has gone well beyond the sport of football, and like I said, I'm thankful that we're friends more than anything else. I'm geared up and excited for Merritt Island because of you. I'm excited for the girls on the soccer team because of you, and so, I hope continued success for you all and that you guys continue to have fun. You continue to feel fulfilled and mentor these kids. And I just want to say thank you for all you've done, all the hard work you've put in, and the fact that you've always made yourself a available to me and have always taken the time out of the goodness of your heart, because that is something that you really can never thank somebody enough for, is when they're there for you because they want to be, not because they have to be, not because they got something else going on that's right around the corner from you, but because they actually wanted to do it. So I got to thank you for being a good friend above everything else.
Yeah, always, Dan, and hopefully we'll get to see each other here soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. I gotta get my butt out of this cold, man. I'm too cold up here. So I'll see you hopefully sometime soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care.
You.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
That coming from Nate Trout once again on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So much appreciate having Nate on the broadcast here this morning and giving us the ingredients to success. Proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. And make sure you head out to Avicolli's every Tuesday through Sunday for for lunch, dinner, and drinks. And of course, drink responsibly as always. You can go to the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York for dining in of their pizza casual side, their fine dining side, and their bar. And of course, you can also go for takeout, delivery, and catering by calling 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100 for Avicolli's. And with that being stated, I want to thank you all for being a part of the show today. Fantastic, jam-packed Mon Paz Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factories. What's poppin'? If this was a bag of popcorn, it would be an extra large, filled to the brim. And if you go to Mon Paz, if you've never been to Mon Paz, you need to understand something. They fill those kettle corn and popcorn bags to the top. They don't skimp out on anything. They fill it all the way to the brim and make sure that you get every little bit of those awesome flavors from Mon Paz. Go out to 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York today. And of course, you can order from anywhere in the country by going to maandpazpopcorn.com. Shout out to our guests, Brady Denaburg, in his first exclusive interview since his Syracuse offer. Big shout out to Kevin Greene, fullback, running back, and special teams alum of Syracuse from 1987 to 1990. My guy Nate Trout, 1996 to 99 at Syracuse, and a mentor of Brady Denaburg, and of course to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success, all inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, where you are watching and listening every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Facebook, and MixLR, all.com/wakeupcalldt. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, MixLR.com/wakeupcalldt. Every single one of them, just remember /wakeupcalldt, and you'll find us there. Wakeupcalldt.com, as well as being shared on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT as well. After the shows go live, you can check us out in the archives on MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, and more, simply by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you do that today. And of course, you can give a special thanks to our Central and Upstate New York partners by going out and utilizing their products and services as a way to say thank you for them building up the community of Central and Upstate New York. If you want our community to continue to thrive and move forward, we got to do it together. So make sure that you take the time out at Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Paz Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Progressive Dental, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, the Lemoyne Dolphins, the Millhouse Market, Honda City of Liverpool, Mother's Cupboard, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and PB&J's Lunch Box, where my nachos, as of right now, today, as of this moment, my nachos are now available exclusively on the menu at PB&J's Lunchbox. You can order from DoorDash as well as Grubhub and other apps for delivery from, there's so many different apps that they have at PB&J's Lunchbox. So you can order at Grubhub, DoorDash, and others right now for delivery to your doorstep of my homemade nachos. You can also go and dine in at PB&J's Lunchbox location on 663 Old Liverpool Road, in Liverpool. That's 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, right by Onondaga Lake Parkway. So make sure you do that today. My nachos are on sale, and this is the first day they've ever been available at PB&J's Lunchbox, and the time to get them is right now. You know I'm going to be eating them up today, so I hope that you are too. And definitely give a call over to PB&J's Lunchbox. Order on any one of your apps like DoorDash and Grubhub, or go straight to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every Wednesday, including this Wednesday with a very special recruiting Dolphin Dive episode. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is Fins Up every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for Dolphin Time. Every first and third Wednesday of the month, we bring you at 9 a.m. Eastern Time new episodes of AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. And every second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you get new episodes of Dolphin Dive, featuring coaches, student athletes, and staff members of Lemoyne College. Check it all out by subscribing to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Of course, the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com will get you the videos as well, and you can find us and so much more at LemoyneDolphins.com. So do that today. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It's Pacer Pride every single week, rounding out our weeks on Fridays with Pacer exclusive conversations with Executive Director of Athletics Pat Murphy, coaches, and student athletes. Pacer Pride episodes airing every single Friday in hour number 2 between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here live on Wake Up Call on all of our channels. You can find those videos at youtube.com/wakeupcalldt by clicking subscribe. And, of course, you can go to the Marywood tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Check out our Pacer Pride exclusive episodes every single Friday during the live broadcast and find out more at MarywoodPacers.com. With that being said, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know what to do. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, the Twitters at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. From inside the Cafe Kubal studios, I bid you adieu, and I will talk with you very soon. God bless, no stress. Do your best. This is Wake Up Call, and you are absolutely amazing. Remember, God chose you, so make sure that you choose yourself, be positive, be good to yourself and good to others every single day. God did not make a mistake in putting you on this planet, and know that your value is more than the number of stars out there.